Hello. We're going to talk about why, like 3 steps to basically build an authentic brand. So, why you need to have an authentic brand, because first of all, if you're going to market yourself in any which way, like first of all, you need to know who you are so that you can be speaking to the right person. And I know when you're like starting a business, it can be really overwhelming because you're like, oh my God, I have no idea what my brand is. But here's the thing, like, when you're building an authentic brand, your brand is based on you. You don't need to try and come up with you don't need to follow what's popular. You don't need to do what someone else did. Like, you just need to own absolutely like who you are and just be your true authentic self, because that is your brand and that's what's going to come across as authentically you. So the first step is like you need to figure out like, who are you? What do you love? What do you love doing? Like, this doesn't have to be related to your business, because we're going to assume that you like doing what you have as a business. So it's like, who are you? Like, what do you love as a person? Where do you love going? What are colors you love? What's a vibe you love? Like, how do people describe you who are friends with you? How does your mom describe you? Like, all of those things go into making up your brand. And when you really start to like journal in on this and like write it all down, like, you're gonna start to see some like commonalities or themes or kind of like ley lines between all of the things that are gonna start telling you like who you are. And the reason that this is so important that you like dig into it and really own it is because your ideal clients are going to be drawn to you when you are showing up as you. Like, people can sniff out on unauthenticity so quick, where if you're not showing up as yourself, it's just going to be so obvious. So just don't do it. Like, own who you are and have a clear message with it. The second thing I would say is like, you need to know who you're reaching and like, what does that person need to hear from you? Like, at what stage in their journey are they? What do they need to hear? What do they need reassurance in? Like, what message do they need? Like, what would you tell yourself? Like, not usually, but sometimes our ideal client is us, just like at an earlier stage in the journey. And if that's the case, like, what did you need to hear? Like, what would have been like pivotal for you to know at that time? Like, what if you could write a letter to yourself in the past? Like, what would that letter say? And also, when we get into branding, like, we need to, it's so interesting because I feel like you can't do anything in business without it becoming like a personal development journey, because it can be really scary to admit like who we are and what we love to people, especially on the internet. For some reason, this is like terrifying to a lot of us. So it's like so important that we are able to forgive and love and accept ourselves exactly the way we are in this moment, in the past, in the future. Like, just truly showing up and owning who we are is going to go so far into propelling you into having a really authentic, true to you brand, because you're not going to be afraid to show up and be like, look, this is me, and you can either like it or not like it, but you are just totally able to show up truly as yourself. And especially like, not just the parts of yourself that you like love and accept and like are easy, or you feel like are accepted by other people really easily, but also the parts of yourself that you maybe don't love so much. Like, everyone has their shadow side, and what that basically means is like the parts of you where it's like you would never want to tell anyone about it. And it's like, when you start showing up and you are able to own those things about you, you give people permission to own those things in them. Because like, every single person that is alive, I'm sure we have at least one story where you could be like, oh my God, I would never ever, like, I would die if anyone found out about this. And like, can you love yourself and accept yourself and forgive yourself through that thing? Like, this is like a common thing that we as people, everyone has something like that. So it's like, we need to be able to like forgive ourselves and like heal that in ourselves and just like accept it about ourselves. And then we need to show up consistently. Like, we need to show up in whatever way that is, whether it's on like Facebook or YouTube or on your podcast or your blog or your email list or whatever it is. You need to be able to show up consistently. And show people that you're gonna be there. Like, I think this is one of the things that people struggle with so much, is showing up like consistently in their brand. And there's definitely things that you can do to make it easier. Like, you can batch things or you can automate things, but the thing that's going to make the biggest difference is in your mindset, because the only reason that you're struggling with that is because you don't fully believe that it's going to work. Because like, if you 100% believed in it without a shadow of a doubt that you were constantly moving forward in every single thing that you do, you wouldn't question whether you should send an email every week. Or like, when I first started my email list, I got so scared to even email people, because I was like, oh my God, like, who's gonna want to hear from me? Or like, I don't want to annoy people. And like, here's the thing, is with everything in life, people can opt out. But like, imagine if you had this thing and it was the thing that would help so many people, but you just couldn't get over your own shit and your fear of being judged. And so you just kept that thing to yourself and you didn't share it, and someone missed out on the opportunity of like learning from you or healing themselves, or whatever way it is that you're sharing your gift in the world, because you were too scared to step into like being authentically you and sharing that message with the world. And like, you absolutely have one. So it's like, we need to start doing the work on ourselves so we can show up for other people. I feel like with everything in business, it always comes down to this. Like, the only thing that stops you from doing absolutely anything is the way you think about it and the way you feel about it. And that's all your mindset. And the most amazing thing about that is like, you can change your mindset at any point in time. You can do the work on yourself. You can start healing yourself. You can start showing up more as you, because like, when you go to share your message, you have to know that what you're sharing is important, so that you're going to show up consistently and you're going to share your message with people, and you have to act like it's important because it is, and also so that people listen. Because if you're just sitting there being like, oh, I'm gonna post like maybe once a fortnight if I remember to, and like, I don't want to go live because that's scary, and like all the excuses that the ego is going to come up with, like, there's ways where we can move through this stuff. Like, our fear, sometimes it just wants to be acknowledged. Like, your ego's job is to keep you safe. So if you want to be able to move past it, like, you have to acknowledge it. Like, what you resist persists. So if you just keep ignoring the fact that you're feeling weird about something, instead of really shining the light on it and taking a look and being like, okay, I'm really scared to do this thing. Why do I feel scared to do it? Oh, okay, it's because I'm scared it won't work out, or I'm scared of being judged. And just owning that and being like, okay, thank you, fear. Like, thank you for showing me that. And then sometimes that's all it takes to move through it. Like, just shining the light on it and acknowledging it and being like, okay, thanks for showing up. Thanks for trying to keep me safe. I'm not going to let that stop me. Like, I'm just going to keep going. So the most important thing about really showing up in having an authentic brand that is based on you is like, you have to accept and love and forgive yourself first before you'll even feel safe to start sharing that message with the world. And I feel like, me personally, like, I've always felt like running a business is like the biggest personal development journey you could ever go on, because it's like, I wasn't always like comfortable with the idea of like showing up online or showing up in a video, or like even the idea of putting a podcast out. Like, I don't know, like even a couple years ago, I just would never do something like that, because I either thought like my voice was annoying, or like whatever judgment you've got going on with yourself. But it's like, the more you can do the work and work on your limiting beliefs and learn to love and accept and forgive the things about yourself that you think aren't lovable or acceptable, like, you're just gonna notice that it's a whole lot easier to do the things you want to do. Like, the only thing in the way of you and what you want is a limiting belief. So when you can shift and move and change that, you're able to give yourself everything you want. And like, you have a purpose for being here. You're absolutely enough. So I know whatever you're gonna do is gonna be amazing. So we just need to like get over ourselves and be willing to show up as ourselves, so that our ideal client can connect with us. Because when we are showing up as ourselves as we possibly can be, we will naturally magnetize the people to us that are supposed to be with us, just by showing up as ourselves. Like, you don't have to trick people into coming. You don't have to like con them into joining your email list. You don't have to like bribe them to listen to your podcast or anything, because they will just naturally want to be there because you're showing up as you. So with that said, I hope you have an amazing day. I will see you later.